perfume I smelled in the cave seems to be stronger here. I am very intrigued. Trixie couldn't be less interested in all of this. She is happily skipping ahead, looking for a good picnic spot for us. I'll have to be patient with my investigations. Alright. Oh, we're working! Oh, the antidote's actually filling up! That's really cool! Alright. Let's work on a romance. I was hoping for Trixie. But I think, okay, for Draksketcher, I feel like he would appreciate Floofybutt more than McMurphy. So let's go with Floofybutt. I keep on calling him Floofyboot, but it's Floofybutt. I'm not sure what to expect. I've come to the forest with Floofybutt, but for what I assumed would be a pleasant way to spend my afternoon off work. But I have now discovered that he's billing it as an informative afternoon of instruction and practical participation. That sounds suspiciously like a lecture to me. Oh well. As Professor Popper would say, a scientist must keep an open mind. This is something I would normally do alone, but you strike me as a like-minded soul, interested in both gastronomic and anatomic pleasures. Perhaps now would be a good time to lay down the blanket I asked you to bring. We don't want to put that tender skin of yours under duress. I lay the blanket on the ground awkwardly and wonder where he's going with this. Relax, Drak. This doesn't usually blah blah blah. This doesn't usually take very long. Suddenly, without warning, there's a loud plop as a bird plummets out of the sky onto the blanket. Told you so. Oh my, it's dead. As a doornail. But what happened to it? Just the force field, of course. Now enough foolish questions, Drak. Let's get started, shall we? Just like the lecturers from my uni. What exactly are we doing here, Floofybutt? I told you, don't use that ridiculous name. I prefer Major, if you please. What exactly are we doing here, Major? This is my little surprise. I'm a bird fancier. Oh, and you fancy your birds dead? Quite! All the better to practice my other pursuit. And I'm gonna regret asking this, but what pursuit would that be, Major? I'm a self-taught pathologist. You mean as in post-mortem? Somewhat rudimentary, don't you know, but I can now find my way around the innards of the average seagull with remarkable dexterity. Yes, well, whatever floats your boat. I'm interested in crossword puzzles myself. Not everyone's cup of tea, but it occupies a wet afternoon. Okay, back to the task at hand, Drak. I shall now begin the autopsy. Keep your wits about you. There will be questions at the end. Aha! I knew this was a lecture. Floofybutt pings out a razor-sharp claw and begins going to town on the bird. Oh gosh, I didn't need this art. I'm just saying. Like, it's not needed. Is it? Nah, it's not. And yet, here we are. Incision from sternum to base. Oh, hold on. There we go. On first examination, the skeleton appears to be typical. I note there is no break in the neck, indicating that the force field, rather than the fall, killed the bird. I feel rather queasy. Thank you. An actual logic response. Oh, really? Yes, point of interest. Sometimes the initial zap the bird receives from flying into the force field merely stuns them, and it is the impact of the fall which provides the fatal blow. This chap, however, appears to have suffered cardiac arrest. You can see from the size, or lack thereof, of the heart that even a minor jolt could be enough to induce seizure. Having removed the tiny organ, Major has now begun digging around inside the carcass as though rummaging in a lucky dip. That's quite the imagery. Thank you. Also, that poor blanket is going to be so gross. I would never want to use it again. Now removing entrails for further examination. Oh, do get a better look, Drak. It's rather revealing. I can see something in the stomach sac. Stomach sac? It looks like... Oh my, it's gold! Our lucky day, Drak. Here, have a look. It's some kind of nugget. No, thank you, Major. I'm not in the mood for playing with the contents of a seagull's stomach. Don't be ridiculous. This is not a game, Drak. May I remind you that we are in the middle of a very serious post-mortem, and I expect you, as my assistant, to maintain professionalism. My stomach is doing flips, and as I hold the object between thumb and forefinger. What is this thing? It's so small. It kind of looks like a... Crepes! It's a tooth! Major, it's a gold tooth! Ah, good find. You're a natural. I can't help but wonder why a seagull would have a gold tooth in its stomach. Presumably, Major, this is from the mouth of a human. I think you're probably right. So how did it get in the seagull? With inquiring mind, you would make an excellent apprentice. If you like, I could pass on to you the skills I have acquired. That would be a feather in your cap, eh? I resign myself to the fact that he's not going to be drawn into speculation. Okay, well, I'll bear that in mind, Major. I don't have the heart to tell him that I came top of my class at veterinary surgery. And now to the victor, the spoils. Don't be shy, I've already carved. Oh gosh, do you mean? Of course! Tuck in. We won't stand on ceremony here. It's a good one, too. Plenty of fat. Tuck in! No! We are not eating raw bird. Nah, nah, fam. I don't care. We are not eating raw bird. I have to think fast. Do I really want to eat raw seagull carved up by a cat on the forest floor? No! There is no way that's going to happen. I don't want to hurt his feelings, but equally, I can't afford to be laid up with salmonella poisoning through people-pleasing. Cat-pleasing, even. Oh no, silly me. I didn't realize we'd be having lunch, and I ate before we came out here. Silly mistake. Well, just a taste then. Oh, Major, tempting though it looks, I simply couldn't touch a single bite. Nonsense, Drak, I insist. I would feel a very poor host indeed if my guest refused my hospitality. Oh no, this is gonna be harder than I thought. Floofybutt is standing in front of me, presenting what looks like a tiny sliver on the palm of his paw. I need to think fast. Oh! That's my catalog. I can't hear anything. It's on vibrate. The professor is calling. What bad timing. Can you believe it? I'm gonna have to head off. But your feast. Such a shame. So sorry. Please do go ahead without me. Oh, another time then. I'm tempted to make excuses, but notice the eager look on his little face and feel a pull on my heartstrings. Oh yes, without a doubt, another time. Then a toast to your health. And maybe we can at least make a campfire so it's at least cooked if nothing else, and we're not eating raw fucking bird. When he turns into a cat, fair game, but right now the Major pops the liver into his mouth and starts cat chewing in a very unattractive way. I realize I'm staring and catch myself. Enjoy! Bon appetit! Bye! I make a swift and graceless retreat. Oh, we need to rest, don't we? Yeah. Don't want the negative consequences. Just rest. You had a lovely nap and wake up feeling revitalized. Your energy has been restored. Magic! Let's do another research because we unlocked something. Here we go. It's time for some serious testing in the labs. I'm intrigued to see what kind of work the professor has up his sleeve. Excuse me. My stomach is queasy. I really don't want to do this. It's strange. I'm used to treating subjects with medication and injections, but something about this doesn't feel right. Hello, you. I smile at the gentle cat on the table in front of me. I look at the syringe in my hand. I turn to the professor. What are we testing for with these meds again? He looks up from his desk. Is there a problem, Drak? I've already told you. It's supposed to stimulate hair growth. Why do we need to stimulate hair growth? Why indeed? However, ours is not to question why, Drak. The likes of you and I perform the tasks set out by the people who pay our wages. Such is life, eh? Oh, I don't like that. Oh, that's not a good answer. That's not a good answer. The professor returns to his work, and I understand the conversation is over. I look back at the little cat. His name is Smokey. He's a lycoid cat with very short, fine hair. A real sweetie. I suppose the professor is right. This is just my job, and although I feel terrible, I find a way to ignore the pangs of guilt and inject Smokey with the medication. He squeals, but it's over quickly, and he can return to his cage. How long does this usually take? The professor looks up again, slightly irritated. I don't know, Drak, but you're being paid to find that out, aren't you, my dear? Oh, yes, of course. I make a note of the time and observe the cat. After 5 minutes, there's no noticeable change. 10 minutes, still no change. After half an hour, I think I notice his hair looks a little different, but I suspect my eyes are playing tricks on me. 1 hour in, and all of a sudden, I can see the hair is visibly longer and seems to be continuing to grow. I must say, I'm very impressed and a little confused. I decide to take a tea break. Smokey seems content to nap for a while. Can I get you a cup of tea, Professor? Oh no, I don't know how you could tolerate the foul stuff they brew up in the mess tent. I have my thermos of coffee here, thank you. Fair enough. I'll be back in a bit. I've only been gone for 10 minutes at the most, but as I enter with my mug of tea, I instantly notice the drama taking place in Smokey's cage. I find it hard to stifle a laugh. Oh my goodness! Professor, have you seen this? The professor looks up, exasperated by another interruption, but then he notices the cage. Oh, the poor cat! Oh dear. Well, don't just stand there, Drak. Get him out. I open the front of the cage and pull out the large hairball that Smokey has turned into. His fur trembles over my arm as I cradle the bewildered cat. Well, I never. Very interesting, isn't it, Drak? I think it's still growing, Professor. I do believe you're right. Perhaps we should consider the clippers. The professor hands me a small set of silver electric clippers, and I immediately begin using them on the ever-expanding Smokey. I continue to shave for the next 15 minutes until he finally seems to run out of fur. My, that's a lot of hair. We both stand staring at the pile of fur at our feet. Just keep a small amount for testing and put the rest of it out the back. Mora can dispose of it later. Mora? Mrs. Marigold. Excellent work today, Drak. Most interesting findings. Thank you, sir. Although the results had nothing to do with me, I'm left feeling a tad guilty about Smokey's ordeal. As I place him back in his cage, I check for any signs of trauma. And when satisfied he's okay, I awkwardly take my leave. And we unlocked new research. Yay! But now it's recon time. Which one's? Oh, Snoots. Drak, are you still sleeping? You really ought to be awake by now. Snooty Booty, are you okay? What are you doing in my tent? All this lazing about is very bad for your complexion, to say nothing about the dragging effects on the delicate tissue around the eyes. Is there something I can help you with? Possibly. I have something I want you to look at. Right now? What time is it? Time you were active. Come along. Well, at least let me get ready. Very well. Snooty Booty sits down and starts grooming herself. After a moment, she looks up again. Why aren't you ready yet? Can you leave the tent so that I can get dressed? For goodness sake. Snooty Booty rolls her eyes and walks out. I get dressed resignedly and follow her. What do you think it is? I'm intrigued. We are on the beach, staring at a partially buried bottle sealed inside a plastic bag. It looks as though it has only recently washed up. Well, there's really only one way to find out. I pull the bottle out of the sand. It has some kind of document or note in the bag, along with the bottle. What is that thing? Read it to me. It's a good thing I'm just as curious as Snooty, or I would be feeling a lot more irritable by now. I carefully unseal the bag and unfold the paper. I read the note out loud. Initial tests on the most recent formula are encouraging. Subjects 6 through 18 appeared visibly younger. Moderate to severe side effects noted, including increased hair growth and marked mood alteration. Subjects 1 through 5 had major complications. Some new, small tumors, skin irritation, partial blindness, and memory loss. We need you to look into this. Check for contaminants and continue to iterate on the formula. Appeared visibly younger? Snooty Booty, is that the most important thing you gathered from this report? You're quite right, Drak. We ought not to trust it. That note could have been written by anyone. We shall conduct our own experiment. Apply the cream to my skin. Have you lost your mind, Snooty Booty? Did you not hear what I read out? Tumors, blindness, memory loss. Statistics bore me. You should know that by now. Let's live a little. I'm willing to take the risk in the name of science. What about your girlfriend Zoe? You took the risk on that skin cream you gave me, didn't you, Snooty Booty? I did. What of it? And you developed welts all over your neck, didn't you? Possibly there was a link, but as I recall, we never did rule out the coconut hair collar that Trixie made for me. I believe that was around the same time. Right. I'm seriously advising you not to do anything with this ointment. I'm going to get my kit back from the lab and see if we can't work out what this stuff is made of. I was hoping the lab would be free, but the professor is in here making some notes. Ah, hello, Drak. I thought you were taking a day off from the lab today? Oh, yes, I am, Professor. I just, wanted to check something. I can't take the test equipment away without the professor getting suspicious. I'll have to come up with some kind of excuse. Make up an excuse, because I feel like taking it would be a lot more suspicious. Well, I wanted to get ahead on some of the field work. There are some samples I found that I think could be useful. I pick up the field kit bag. Popper looks up from his work. Oh, what sort of samples? I have to make this believable, but also invite no other questions. The samples are fecal. Fecal? Yes, a large poo, sir. It has rather interesting properties. Jolly good. Off you go, then. Nailed it. I take the bag and leave. As I approach the beach, it becomes clear Snooty Booty has managed to break into the ointment. She appears to have spilled some and is now busy rolling around in it. Oh my word, Snooty Booty! Snooty Booty, what were you thinking? This could be very dangerous. The only danger here is this ghastly sand sticking to my delicate skin. Do help me get rid of it, Drak. I tried to wipe the sand off, but it is stuck like glue. Underneath the layer of sand, I can see her skin is very pink. There's no time to lose. I pick her up and run to the ocean, trying to use the seawater to clean up as much of the ointment as I can. Put me down! What on earth? I've never been so humiliated in my life! She twists out of my grip and scampers off in her huff. I think I've got it all off, so I leave her to it. Now, back to the samples. There's not much I can do here on the beach, so I'll just have to wait until Professor Pawpur's finished in the lab. Well, that was quick. As luck would have it, the professor needed to retire to his tent earlier than usual. He has to read some research papers that arrived from the mainland this morning. So now I could continue looking into this ointment. I begin by testing the substances for several common compounds found in cosmetics, but it's negative for all of them. I widen the test for other organic compounds. I get a match. About 30% of the ointment is cat saliva? Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze, but I guess not. If they are using saliva from the cats on the island, they could be infecting all their test subjects with catification. But where have these other side effects come from? I run the ointment again, this time looking for known pharmaceuticals. Before I can get the results back, Snooty Booty comes trotting in. I just thought you should know that the security guard is coming this way. You should make yourself scarce before he arrives. Not that I care what happens to you, after you threw me into the ocean. I have no time to finish this experiment now, but I will work on it later in the privacy of my tent. I take my things and run before Zane arrives. Did I clear it? Oh. Oh, but I completed everything here, so yeah, I have to do the date. I broke Mick Murphy's heart! So sorry! Do hold your hand still, Drak. I could hardly see a thing with you shaking like that. I hold the binocular stable in front of Floofybutt's tiny cat face. He looks ridiculous. It's like you're not even trying, Drak. You're shaking like a leaf. My hands are totally steady, Major. Ever consider it could just be your eyesight? I'll have you know, I have the keen eyes of a goat. Alright. Goats aren't exactly known for their vision, Major. That's just because the world is full of ignorami. Okay. Well, what can you see? I hope they're sleeping. I can only see a couple of mulers, lazing about, of course, scratching at their fleas. Filthy things, I tell you. Oh! What? One of the bigger ones is emptying its bladder. That could mean that they do eat and drink on a regular schedule. And, if we were able to find out where their water supply is, we could lace it with a mild sedative and bring the incapacitated sample to the beach and... Please don't finish that sentence. No cats will be harmed during this mission. Oh, please. The subject will not be harmed. Just slightly bewildered. For a day or two. But why, Major? Well, to examine it for a start. Also, I should like to see how they react when one of theirs goes There's go missing for a change. Major, I only agreed to help you with this on the promise that you will not attempt to exact any kind of retribution on the elders. Examination is one thing, but if you can't keep your end of the deal, then I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to withdraw. Okay, I'll just observe. I replaced the binoculars in front of Floofybutt's keen goat eyes. Well, what do we have here? Found something? I do believe I have. There's a few elders here who seem to be meditating. Meditating? Are you sure they're not just sleeping? Take a look, will you? Tell me they aren't meditating. Oh. I adjust the binoculars to suit my eyes, and I am quite taken aback by what I see. Okay, you're kind of heavy. Floofybutt is right. The cats aren't sleeping. They are sitting in a circle around what is by far one of the stranger landmarks on the island. A large state of Bastet? Do they mean statue of Bastet? Professor Popper has always dodged my questions about what on earth a statue of the Egyptian cat goddess of war is doing on this island. I'm even more intrigued now. The cats seem to be listening, or contemplating, or even meditating. Or praying, just saying. Well, Major, I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation for their behavior. Cats often behave quite strangely, I've found. Well, they're strange, and they're strange, and then they're strange. And my experience teaches me that the type of strangeness that this class are afflicted with is beyond acceptable. I believe the only way to protect us all is to total disassociation. Major, do you hear yourself? We're here, practically trespassing on their territory so that you can spy on them while they're doing whatever it is they're doing, and you want disassociation from them? One must know one's enemy, Drak. How are they your enemy, Major? They've never done anything to you. Oh no? Those Muellers are wholly responsible for the problems on this cursed island, and it's about time they were held accountable. They are the carriers of the cat virus. If it weren't for them, you wouldn't be afflicted with this illness. Oh, is that so? Because I distinctly remember it was you lot who deliberately put me in danger in the first place. The elders are cats. Just cats. Just cats, eh? Oh, I see. I realize what I've just said, and although I didn't intend it the way the Major has taken it, I can see how wounded he is. I feel conflicted. On the one hand, I want to take a stand against his bigotry. It is not helping our progress, and I believe it may end up ruining our friendship. On the other hand, I know he has a good heart. As Trixie says, he's just stuck in his ways, and it would be wrong of me to start pushing my views onto him. Perhaps I can lead by example and practice a little more tolerance myself. Let's be... Okay, let me think, what would Draksketcher do? I think he would be diplomatic and quiet. Oh, come on, Major. I didn't mean it that way. You know I have the highest regard for all cats, and particularly you. And I for you, Drak. However, I must say, I find it increasingly difficult to fathom how such an intelligent person as yourself fails to recognize such obvious truths. Okay, perhaps I haven't given you a fair hearing. Maybe my own opinions got in the way. So, go on then. You have my full attention. Teach me, Major. Well, that's more like it. He pulls himself up and fluffs out his fur. It gives him an air of self-importance, so much so that, in spite of my promise to be open-minded, I'm already feeling a bit irritated.